The number of confirmed deaths has passed 200. The governor has called a state of emergency.
There are hundreds and hundreds of bodies.
Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Last of Us Survivor Difficulty video walkthrough. We're still on Chapter 9, but this is the underground tunnel section of it. And this is where the combat begins, if anybody was wondering why there's been so little so far. And it's pretty simple for the most, but at the end, the numbers increase in enemies from hard to survivor, and I wasn't expecting that, because I didn't think that was one of the tenets of the difficulty, but apparently it is. So the short version of this is, we're moving into an area now that has a lot of infected. It's got a lot of clickers, it's got a lot of runners, it's got a couple of bloaters at the end, and it's as hard as you make it, in essence. If you're good at sneaking past the infected at this point, you'll have no problem until the end. If you're not, this could be quite challenging. If you want to use guns and start making a lot of noise, it's probably going to get really intense really quickly. And my advice would be, do not use guns, because there's a mission coming up, the next chapter, which is essentially the last chapter of the game before the bonus epilogue, and that is all about guns. Like, you can stealth to the best of your abilities, but it's always going to come down to guns. So I would definitely try and save as much as you can for that last chapter, because it's going to get pretty intense. And it's not difficult. You know, I went in with a decent amount of ammo. I wasn't exactly saving ammo, I just was using it as I normally would. And I got through it without any problems. I knew it was coming, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. It's just, there's a lot of guys with guns. I'll put it that way. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it, because everybody's so fucking spoiler conscious of stuff on games nights. It's kind of horrific. I mean, why are you watching a video for a game if you haven't played it and expecting there not to be spoilers, man? Come on, folks. This is 2013. But now that we've got past those guys, as you can see, a couple of clickers here in the water. There's plenty of bottles, plenty of bricks and stuff. The clickers are the best when it comes to throwing shit, because they're so fucking dumb. They're amazing. And the flamethrower is going to be your best friend for this sequence, because if anything does rush you and you have to fight and you get swarmed, the flamethrower is just one of those weapons that it just destroys. It absolutely destroys. I didn't realise how good it was because I never used it before this recording run, so it is pretty damn destructive. That right there is pretty much all the components you need to make a Molotov. We're still a little low on the alcohol for it, but you might have more resources than me, so you may be able to get a second one. And if you do have a second one, it makes killing the larger number of enemies at the end of this tunnel slightly easier. Because what I was thinking at this point was, I'm going to get to the end of this, there's going to be the bloater again, there's going to be a couple of the clickers, and there's going to be a runner. And when I got there, to my surprise, there was 2 bloaters, and like, you don't fight many of the enemies, so I'm not exactly, well versed in killing them. I don't know if there's a super cheap way of doing it. What I do know is they take a shit ton of damage, so my only option really is to throw a bottle to get them cloistered together, set them both on fire with a Molotov, and then throw the nail bombs at them, the knife bombs. And it works a charm for the most, but you're wasting 2 extremely valuable items, and I'm always conscious that I might need them. And that's how I play this game. I always play this game with the mentality of, what if I need what I've just used? And it's the same mentality that I've played pretty much all games. On the old Final Fantasies, I saved the Mega Elixirs, I saved the Elixirs, because I always thought there was going to be a time I might need them, and then I never ended up using them at all. And it's probably not the smartest decision, but you can't just turn it off. It's like a first-person shooter, or any shooter. When I kill somebody in a shooter, I reload, because you never know when the next guy's coming, and you always want a full clip. But it gets to the point where it's a detriment. And there are some games, Dead Space 3, where when you reload and you've only shot 1 bullet, you lose the entire clip, which is the worst fucking mechanic you could put in a game. Shame on you, Visceral. Because it's just stupid. And if you're like me, where you've got this addiction to reloading, this reload OCD, there's nothing you can really do, because you can't just turn off years of programming, guys. It doesn't work that way. And this is the end of the tunnel, and this is where the group of dudes are, and this is when I realise there's 2 bloaters. I don't remember there being 2 bloaters, so I throw a bottle to get them all together, and then I throw a Molotov to set them on fire. And at this point, everybody's going to be alerted to that Molotov throw, so I throw a bomb to try and capitalise and kill as many as I can. I could have saved that bomb for later to kill more people, because you notice how they're all together now, but the runners are not the problem. The problem are the fat guys. The fat guys, they're like clickers, so when they get close to you, they insta-kill you. They take a massive beating, and they've got a projectile, and anything with a projectile is dangerous. But you'll notice, 2 of them have gone to the left of me, and there's this one runner in front of me that I thought, for the time being, had an idea where I was. But it turns out, he's just doing his thing. He's doing his erratic turnaround like a meth addict looking for a spoon filled with goodness, even though that's heroin. That being said, I don't even know how meth is used. I'm such a drug fiend. But at this point, I notice I have a window of opportunity here. So I'd be stupid not to take it, because at the end of the day, if I get spotted, I restart the encounter, and the job's a good one. So I throw a bottle over there to try and distract anything I can away from where I'm trying to go. And you'll notice the bloater falls for it, but the runner doesn't. So now I have a bloater and a runner in the place I need to go. So my logic here is, if I can stealth kill this runner, I don't think the bloater's going to do shit. And it turns out I was right. But this is one of those moments where he could have turned around at any point and seen me, and I was in trouble. But it worked my way. So I get him, I put him down, and the bloater walks over there. And all this is, guys, is AI pathing and the random probability that it's going to go your way. This time it went my way, and that worked perfectly. That was one try. But I could understand if you get into a spot of bother there, because it's a pretty rough room. And the checkpoint will be all the way at the start of it, I can almost guarantee. Because the checkpoints in this game, when they're not fucking you, they're being far too casual. It's, you know, what are you, casual? But once you pop Ellie up, she's going to drop this box. Feel free to climb it, get the hell out of Dodge. And then we can progress onwards to the water. Oh, you see that? Gosh, that nearly made me jump watching the damn recording. That is a bloater firing its projectile. It didn't hit us though, but it just goes to show how close that situation is. And at this moment in time, Ellie kind of stays over there while he continues to fire shit at her, which I don't get. And if she had died from that, I would have been mad. But luckily enough, it doesn't seem to affect her. So when you come over here, you're going to have to swim. You're going to have to go under, because you can't go over just yet. And this is all environmental puzzles from here on, guys. It's environmental traversing, it's some swimming, and then it's going to be a cutscene with quite a lot of context-sensitive actions going on. Which, if you played Conker's Bad Fur Day on the N64, you'll know all about context-sensitive. But there is a couple of puzzles too, and it's just the tried and tested ladder puzzles, plank puzzles, that kind of stuff. It's nothing too strenuous. And I do think to myself, when I look back, reflecting on playing this game, could they have perhaps done more with the traversal stuff? And the answer is yes. Did I ever find myself getting annoyed or bored at the fact that they used the same trope a few times? No, I don't think I did. So, in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? I don't think it does. But there's a really bullshit moment coming up here where you give Ellie a push-up to open a door for you, and then a clicker tries to kill her, and you can shoot it through the fence, but there's always that chance that when you shoot it, it doesn't flinch, and it immediately kills her. So I had a problem with this on hard, because twice I shot it with a shotgun, and it still managed to go into the animation of killing Ellie. And I think I just got unlucky, because on my recording run on Survivor, I had no issue at all. I put it down super quickly. But I just want to share my experience with people, just to let you know that if you get screwed, it's happened to others, because it's just one of those things. But you'll notice, I put the rifle on, I immediately shoot the clicker, and 2 shots puts him down, and then we're all good to go again. And that is a mandatory piece of combat, so, you know, if you're hoping for stealth the entire way, the game just was not designed with that in mind. So, you know, be that as it may, it's still a great game. I just would have liked a greater emphasis on stealth. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? If you could stealth past everything, would it frustrate the developer because they put all the time into making the combat really visceral and violent and weighty? Because you got through it without doing any of that stuff? Pretty funny thing to analyse. But now that we're in here, there is a door over here that needs a full shiv. I don't have a full shiv, and I don't think I have the ability to make one. So once again, I'm missing out on another shiv door, but if I'm completely honest, and I always am, the shiv doors are shit on Survivor. They're really, really shit. Because you barely get anything in them. Like, it's such a bullshit proposition. For how much they cost, and how rare the minerals and stuff that make them are, even though they're not minerals, they're resources, there should be more in those rooms. There's no excuse for there not to be more in those rooms. But here is another one of the puzzle rooms, which involves us doing something as Joel, so that we can get something for Ellie, so that she can do something to help Joel get up an area. When, like, why don't they get climbing equipment? You know, rope. Good rope. Some of those, like, fucking, I don't even know what they're called, like those pivot guns things that fire into the wall that give you a purchase. Some pickaxes, axes, any kind of climbing axe. Now, those shoes with the spikes on them. They could do so much and not have this issue of needing a pallet constantly to get everywhere. It's kind of crazy. But seeing as how there's some dead air here for 5 minutes, I'm going to talk about a film I watched the other day. And that film is called The Wonderful, or The Incredible Burt Wonderstone. And it's not a great film by any stretch of the imagination, but I had a lot of fun with it because it's stupid. And the basic premise is Steve Carell plays a magician, and his sidekick is Steve Buscemi. And they've had a friendship ever since they were kids, and they do a show in Vegas, which is getting systematically less popular because street magicians are coming along and changing the game. And it's kind of this social commentary on probably what traditional magicians think street magician stuff is, but it's also got some, you know, silly bits to it and what have you. And Jim Carrey plays essentially Chris Angel, and Olivia Wilde is there for eye candy and various other things. And it's you know where it's going. You pretty much know the theme and the standards of the film. It's not gonna, you know, throw a curveball at you. Is it Andy Arkin's in it, and he's fucking amazing. That guy is so good in almost everything he does nowadays. He's like a national treasure. And there's just so many moments of just really stupidness. Like, I think James Gandolfini's in it, which is kind of sad because he's just passed away from a massive heart attack. And I'm not going to make a big spiel about how I appreciate and cherish everything he's done, because the only films I've seen that guy in were the Killing Them Softly with Brad Pitt, which I did not like, and this film. All I know is that he was in The Sopranos, and I never watched The Sopranos, so, you know, it is a criminal thing to say, but it's true. But he's in this film anyhow, and he's really good in it. He's so funny. Some of the stuff he does is just hilarious. And there's so much awkward moments that turn out to be kind of fantastic later on, where when Steve Carell and Steve Buscemi are doing this show, it is so cheesy and tacked on and intentionally bad looking that it's painful to watch. But then they use it later on as a gag, and it completely makes sense. But Jim Carrey turns up as the antagonist. He's playing the street magician, and his TV show is called Brain Rapist. And every time that gag came up, I don't even know why, but it kept on making me laugh. It's puerile, it's stupid, it's on the nose, but God, it made me laugh. It just kept on getting used. It's one of those ones that just keeps on reoccurring, and every time it doesn't get any less funny. And for the most, it's a pretty standard, crappy comedy, but I enjoyed my time with it. And there's this... It's one of those things where you don't really see that many films about magicians, and it's nice to have a different theme for this kind of film, but I do think that they didn't use it as well as they could have. I think it could have been much more interesting and much more elaborate, but what they did do, you know, it was okay, you know. But the fucking brain rapist stuff, every time it said it. And there was another gag where, because they've been a double act for so long, Steve Carell didn't really know what to do when these two friends fell out. So when he was making a new show, his new show was the same act, just doing one part of it. So there's this really awful, cringe-worthy scene of him doing this act on himself. And it's just so bad. It is so bad. It's so good that it's so bad. And then one of the other gags that I thought was really, really good was Steve Buscemi's character is kind of stupid. He's kind of really, really dumb. But he loves magic and he's really nice. So he saved his money from this partnership and didn't have any financial problems afterwards. So he went to do missionary work, and he goes to Africa to bring children magic. And they keep doing these interviews where it's like, so what exactly are you doing here? He goes, oh, I'm coming to Africa to bring magic. He goes, and are you bringing food and water? No, I'm just bringing magic. And there's this amazing realization towards the end of the film that nobody wants fucking magic in Africa. And there's a gag in it that's completely ripped off of South Park, where he gives them this magic box, and the first African person that gets it tries to bite it, which is the exact same thing that happens in a South Park episode. The only difference is it's with a Bible and with Christian missionaries. But it's not a film I would recommend, but if you've got an hour and 40 minutes to pass and you want something stupid, definitely check it out, because there are worse films that you could watch. But this sequence here is all scripted, folks. You're not in any trouble of dying. The only time you're in any trouble of dying is if you don't do the quick time events and if you do not swim fast enough to get to the exit, because you'll probably drown. But for the most, this is all just cutscene. This is all just pretty serious shit happening, because as we all know, Ellie can't swim and shit's about to get real bad. So thank you for watching, and you take care now.